This is Silent Cal. It says, given some part of your audience are whites who appreciate and get validation from a black intellectual agreeing with them on sensitive racial issues, do you feel a responsibility at times to correct common mistakes you see in that audience?
Well, yeah, I mean, to the extent that I feel a a need or a moral pressure to, improve other men in general or other people, yeah, that sometimes does come up. I think that so there's often on the right, where on many issues, if you're talking about guns, if you're talking about fatherhood, if you're talking about resistance to quote unquote police defunding and pullback, if you're talking about a fairly traditional education or STEM education, so on, where I pretty unabashedly fall, and I'm not sure you disagree with all of those, but I mean, there's a lot of talk on the right, that kind of business bro front that has those positions I've just described along with some others, about sort of snowflakes. The left is unable to take criticism, unable to take a hit. I don't notice that as just being true of one side of the aisle. Frankly, the most fans I've ever lost on Twitter and other social came after the election when I said something along the lines of, this is getting silly. Trump lost the election. He needs to step down with dignity, be a man. Literally, I'd had something like 24,000 Twitter followers, and I think it dropped to 18,000. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I think you were there to witness it. So I was watching this go on in real time, and it's like, oh, who cares? I mean, these may be good, honorable countrymen, but I don't necessarily know these people in real life. But that was a good example of how any group can react when they feel kind of their feathers getting singed. Yeah, I do think it's necessary sometimes to say that things on the political right, sometimes involving race, are wrong. The biggest example of this for me actually hasn't been racial in terms of consistent, you see a tweet go viral, you see losses of followers. It's actually just been pointing out that the COVID vaccine works. So, I mean, I teach at Kentucky State, obviously historically Black institution. And during the past year, I was on our GOLD task force, which was the institution in the state of Kentucky responding to COVID. And I was able to, through that and through some other work, look at the numbers of people that were dying of COVID-19. And last year, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but the total number of fully vaccinated people, this is even pre-booster, that died of COVID-19, 2 doses, was like 24,000. The number of unvaccinated people that died was 400,000. So I think there's been a great deal of this very dangerous talk around, there are all these potential minor risks, like you could get myocarditis if you're a young male semi-professional athlete. The actual risk of not taking the vaccine greatly outweighs that. So I pointed that out.